course, man. It's my pleasure. Any excuse to talk about the band and keep promoting stuff.
Well, congratulations on the brand new album, and I have to ask, you are already such a busy musician. How did you find time to start a new band, and how did this new band come about?
It was an idea for a little bit. My dad and I, we had talked about it a couple of times, over the years. But as most people know, he's super busy. He's in a couple of bands himself. He's all over the place. I have my own band. I'm living in a new state now and stuff as well. We are both super busy, but it was one of those, I guess you'd call it silver lining, where amidst all the chaos of the pandemic and everything of last year, of 2020, amidst all of that, it actually gave us the opportunity to work, because for a year, none of us have played shows, and none of us have been able to go tour, and none of us have been able to go do stuff like that. Once we both realized, hey, you're going to be home for a year, I'm going to be home for a year, why don't we link up and do this? So, it was just born kind of spur of the moment when we realized we could do it.
Yeah, so were you guys actually able to meet up in person, or did you have to do this using Zoom and using online methods?
No, we met up. I live in Florida now, but I actually packed up my car and went back to where I grew up in Arizona, where my parents still live. I went there intentionally to stay for about a month at the start of the pandemic. It ended up being 6 months, and I recorded 2 albums while I was over there. But I went back. I stayed at my parents' property out in the desert, and we came up with the whole thing there on site, both of us.
Awesome, that's fantastic. So tell us a little bit about the writing process and how it felt for you to be able to sit down and work with your dad.
It was awesome. It was really natural, really organic. The whole writing and creation process, you could say, was totally just fueled by what we wanted to do. We had no intentions of if people were even going to like this or that. We just knew that we were digging it, so we kept on with it. I guess I could mention that the property had a little influence on it. My parents were lucky enough back in the 90s to get a piece of land, as I mentioned before, out in the desert. So it's really quiet. There's no neighbors. We can jam whenever. There's nice scenery. There's mountains and cacti and lots of wildlife and stuff like that. It was just really cool blend of us being out at the weekend property. No distractions, no complications. Just wake up, have some breakfast, have some coffee, and get going on it.
Yeah. You also brought Zach Coleman on board. Tell us a little bit about why you brought Zach on board and what you feel he brings to the band.
I'll say first and foremost, Zach's a really cool dude. I was really happy to work with him. It was one of those things, like I said, my father and I, we were writing the record at our property. So originally we were demoing it with a drum machine. We were actually doing it on my dad's old 16 track from the 90s. It's an old Korg that he still uses to make demos. So it got to the point we had like 12 demoed songs, and we were like, hey, these are actually pretty good, we like them. Let's take this band seriously. Let's start looking for a drummer. We just kind of put the old feelers out there and asked around a little bit, and it was actually Arthur Risk who mixed and mastered the record that put us in touch with Zach. Arthur and Zach had worked on the Black Curse record, which is actually how we found Zach first. Was not even from Chemist, was from his other band, Black Curse. And that's an awesome band, as well as Chemist, and it really showcased that he could play like fast or slow, anything in between. And it was literally one of those things. I just called him and was like, hey man, my dad and I got this record. We need a drummer. You are close, because of COVID, flying and stuff like that was kind of out of the option at that time. So we called him up. We were like, hey man, do you want to drive out to Arizona and learn the album and then do the record? And he was just totally on board. and I'm happy to say he's my friend now. You know, we
Awesome.
we actually kind of rode down a little bit.
Yeah. So, for me, listening to the album, there's so many different genres and sounds coming through there. There's like thrash, there's almost a little bit of punk at times. What kind of sound were you guys actually going for when you first sat down and talked about the band?
We like I said before, we just, we wanted to be extreme. You know, we wanted to be heavy. We knew that there was going to be screaming and crunchy and meat and potatoes type stuff. But in all reality, there was no set limitations or whatever. You know, we were just from what I remember, we were just listening to a lot of old school music, and whatever we were listening to that day kind of influenced us. So you'll notice some songs have that like thrash, almost death metal sound, and other songs totally sound like crust punk, and other ones have weird in between stuff, you know, and it definitely comes down to the fact that we didn't really have any plan or anything like that. We just wanted to make music, and when we sat down to write it, that's what we thought of in the moment. And we obviously did a couple takes of each song and maybe a couple different versions until we got them just right and stuff. But for the most part, it was really just like, okay, I got a riff, let's start with that. Okay, that riff can go into this riff. Okay, let's do a part like, and blah blah blah. We just start stacking it and making songs, and but yeah, we just took inspiration from everywhere. Everything from old school death metal, old school heavy metal, to punk, crust, grind. A little bit of doom metal, a little bit of black metal, a little bit of everything. It goes in so many different ways, while seamlessly kind of sticking together too.
Yeah, and who came up with the name? Because it's an absolutely fantastic name. So who was the person that came up with the name Go Ahead and Die?
I'm pretty sure that my dad found it. He was actually coming to me with, we were both having ideas, but I noticed like he was looking into all types of stuff to find it, and I think he, I don't even know if it's confirmed or anything, but he found what was supposedly a translation of "Go F yourself"
Yep.
in Japanese. And he came up to me and he's like, "Hey man, how they say that in Japanese translates to 'Go ahead and die.'" And I felt like a little light bulb went on in my head, and I was like, "That's a pretty sick name," I was like, it rolls off the tongue really quick. It's easy to remember. It's abrasive and punk and kind of uncaring attitude, and all that stuff. And I kind of suggested it, and I suggested even using it as an acronym, like GAD, kind of like old punk bands like GBH and RKL and stuff like that would do. So it was one of those things, like he came up with it, and I kind of noticed, like, whoa, that's cool. I like it. Let's do something with it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of mutual.
Now, we're used to hearing you with Healing Magic and with your lyrics kind of having a fantasy element to it, but this album has some really kind of modern stuff on there, like talking about corruption and pandemics. Tell us a little bit about what was inspiring the actual lyric writing for this album.
You can say it was things going on last year and now, and things like police brutality, the murder of George Floyd, the ICE border in America and stuff like that. It is influenced by that, but I personally feel like the approach we took was cool because we're writing about current events, but they're almost timeless in a weird way. And in a weird way, they are current, but they aren't, because they've been going on for so long, and you'll almost see some similarities between like themes and stuff like that from this album and like Terrorizer from the 80s or Napalm Death Scum and stuff like that, it's cool to me because it hits on these topics of nowadays, but it's still in a weird way is relatable to older people and younger people, and it'll be relatable in the future because these problems are continuing. They are continuing to exist and not get resolved and stuff, and so it's cool to me that we did that. It's a current event record that will stand the test of time, in my opinion. Just like bands from the 80s, you can still listen to Discharge and get the message of the song. You can still listen to Doom and get the message of the song. I think this record's the same, and the influences definitely came from current things like police brutality and the political corruption we had with Trump and stuff like that, and numerous other presidents. It does touch on these things, and to me it needed to, because they need to be addressed. And as you mentioned, healing magic is more in the spiritual, mystical side of things. So I guess you could say I didn't have room to write about it in that band.
Yeah.
Whereas versa, I wouldn't make a punk, extreme kind of crusty, thrashy record and write about mysticism and stuff like that. So it goes hand in hand of what was going on, what the influences were, and how it's kind of like a timeless. It's a mindset, more than an actual event.
Yeah. And I heard that you guys were also sitting down over nighttime and watching old family movies, but also classic films as well. Were they having an influence on what you were writing?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't even know if it was intentional, but I think we were trying to put ourselves in an old school mindset. So each night after jamming all day, and then we'd have dinner or whatever. Instead of sitting on our phones or going on the laptop or doing something like that, we would actually watch VHS cassettes. It's funny. My parents, like I said, bought that property out in the desert in the '90s. So it's a weird little time capsule because it still has old stuff from the '90s in it, and so it was weird. It kind of got us in the mood of an old school thing. We would listen to CDs, we'd watch VHSs, we would try to stay off the social media and stuff like that if we could, and just get in the mindset of making the music. And some of the horror movies and action or thriller type classics that we would watch did have some influences, in some of the imagery and some of the just lyrical themes and stuff like that.
Awesome. And I have to ask, as a writer myself, how is your novel writing going at the moment? Were you able to do much of that during the pandemic lockdown as well?
Yeah, I've done tons. I'm busy. I guess I'm just one of these people. If I'm not working on something, I start to pull my hair out, and the books are the best thing for when I can't go on tour, or I can't play shows, or I can't be in the studio working on music. The books are great things. So yeah, I actually have. Last year, I wrote a manuscript, a rough draft for a new story, and before I could even format it to digital and do all that, I had another idea that I started earlier this year, and I've gotten 60 pages into it already. So I'm writing like crazy, to be honest.
Awesome. Well, we can't wait to see some of that come out as well. I guess to finish off though, what can we expect from Go Ahead and Die this year? You've got the album coming out now. Do you think that the world will get to a point where you guys will be able to do some live shows?
Absolutely. Like you just mentioned a second ago, we do have the album coming out. We do have stuff along the way. Unfortunately, the situation with COVID is pretty crazy here in America too. To do anything, so we gotta wait and see how that goes, and see when the pandemic, numbers and cases and things like that start to go down. Because to us, it's not worth endangering our crowd, our fans, to come see us play music. That would never sit right with us. So it's one of those things. We have a lot of cool stuff on the way, digital videos, possibly a digital show. We're trying to keep as much content as we can without being on the road. But certainly, once things are better, we want to play. We want to play America. We will play Europe. Get over to Australia, New Zealand. Hit even some, other markets as well. I'm down to go anywhere. To be quite honest, I love the world. I love seeing new places and stuff. I love playing music. So anywhere that'll have us, we definitely want to get out there. But we just want to make sure that nobody's going to risk catching the virus to come see us.
Definitely. Well, mate, I guess to finish up, what would you like to say to your Australian fans out there before they sit down and take a listen to this album?
Just open mind about it. Try to just enjoy it, and maybe look up some of our interviews and where we're explaining the songs and talking about the lyrics before you jump online and start hating us. Otherwise, just keep your eyes open for the band, and keep your eyes open for Healing Magic as well, and for the all the book stuff that I work on. And I really hope to just make it down there. I actually have never gotten the chance to play in Australia, so I would really love to. So first chance I can, I'm coming down there.
Definitely. Well, Igor, thank you so much for chatting to us today. It's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Stay safe, and hopefully we do get to see you in Australia in the not too distant future.
Yeah, no, likewise. Please stay safe, and once again to all the fans as well, stay safe as well. We hope to see you. Have a good day, okay?
Definitely. You too, mate. You have a great night.
Yeah.
See you soon.
You. Have a good one.
Bye.